Thank you and good evening all. Welcome to Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council full council meeting tonight, 30th of April at 6 o'clock. I'd love to see so many people of the general public here tonight. We always like people coming to see what's going on and hopefully to speak. One from me, please, to remind councillors and members of the public to either turn your phones off or at the very least put them onto airplane mode. The reason is that it interferes with the recordings, so that's always said at the beginning of every meeting. So, without further ado, I will move on to agenda item 1, which is public participation. We have some new people here tonight, which is lovely. Very briefly, you have the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes about any subject that you wish to, and I will ask you if you could show by raising your hands those that would like to have the opportunity to speak tonight. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If it's all right, I will start with over at this side. If I could ask you to move to the microphone over where I'm pointing. You can introduce yourself with your name, and then you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Andrew Baker. I'm here to talk about a planning application that's happening next door to us at 81 Coombe Drive, which is on the agenda. There's 4 key points for me to raise, please, in front of the council, which is around the previous appeal decision and the very strict conditions that were put onto that, the noise that's been generated by the development, the lack of site protection for the perimeter of the thing to contain access, and the biodiversity report that's been done, which seems quite questionable, bearing in mind what we've seen going on over the last 8 years now that this has been going on. The first main point is around the appeal decision. As you may or may not be aware, there have been many previous planning applications on this site. It started 8 years ago, and the first application went in 2018. Subsequently, at appeal, 12th of December 22, it was agreed for 4 flats and an attached dwelling to be built on the site in the place of the single bungalow that was there previously when we moved in almost 16 years ago now. There were strict conditions applied as per the appeal decision. Probably the key one there is that it was per the plans submitted only, and the materials had to be approved before any above ground level work was carried out, and soft and hard landscaping had to be done at a prior approval as well as any external lighting, all part of the actual appeal that was done. So there's a few questions and queries in relation to that. There were subsequently some minor amendments made to detach the dwelling, originally in June 23 by 900 millimetres, and then in January 25 by 2.5 metres. So the dwelling has actually grown around the corner further. And again, it was done with strict caveats around the conditions, so I'm not sure how that was passed originally. So have approvals been sought or granted for the materials and the lighting, etc., for the work to be done? And one of the key things there is that now on the newest applications, they're trying to get a 5th flat in the main block at the front of the house on Coombe Drive. Previously, Rother District Council had rejected a previous plan where they had a flat in the roof space.
That is your 3 minutes, sir. It is on the agenda, and I'm sure other people. I think we've got the gist of what you're saying. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I'll move round to the lady here. I think had her hand up. Again, if you could come to the microphone and introduce yourself, you have 3 minutes.
Hello. I'm going to keep looking at my phone so that I keep focus and stick to my 3 minutes and don't go on and on. So hello, my name is Lucy Cooley and I'm here as Director of Bexhill-on-Sea, which is a newly formed community interest company. We've submitted an offer to lease the Outdoor Bowls Pavilion in Edgerton Park. We've also submitted an expression of interest for it to be listed as an asset of community value. But I've been told the building isn't classed as a community asset. It's Rother District Council owned property, and the current decision is for this to be leased under a commercial lease. Our project is called the Bexhill Nest. It's not a service we can move to another building. It's about inclusion in this park for the families who live here in Bexhill and feel left out. They're excluded. We believe this space in Bexhill should be prioritised for the families of Bexhill. We believe all children should have access to this park and no one should have to pay to play. We want to create a free-to-access, safe, welcoming space for children who are disabled, neurodivergent or have special educational needs, as well as their families. We believe this will improve outcomes, reduce isolation and build stronger local support networks. We've raised formal concerns about the process so far and are now at the point where we will be submitting a formal complaint. We were not given the chance to meet with officers, answer questions or talk through our proposal despite asking them several times. We're now asking Bexhill Town Council to step in. We want to ask you to ask for this building to be devolved to you and work with us to make sure that it's used in a way that benefits this community, used in a way that brings people together and not leaves them out. All three of us are directors, are local residents, with three mums who are parents of children at local special schools, and we're absolutely committed to creating something that works for Bexhill. Please consider supporting us and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. I think, Mr. Brailsford, I think you had your hand up. Again, if you could come to the microphone and introduce yourself. You two have 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Paul Brailsford, I'm a resident of Bexhill. Marina Gardens, I believe that RDC and BCEC each put £8,000, total of 16 into this project. Yesterday, and it's still the same as it is tonight. The hedges were cut, the grass areas have been regrassed, a few plants are being planted. When do they expect this project to be finished? Is there a plan? What will it look like? If so, where? There was a problem with the water. They look like new manhole covers have been done. Perhaps that's been sorted, I don't know. Devolution. Where's the latest information what's happening? The last council meeting was behind closed doors. Is there anything ever going to be published for residents? The last one, are all the licensed toilets open? If not, what's the timescale for them to be opened? Thank you.
Thank you. Just give a final opportunity to any other members of the public if they wish to speak. Okay, then at that point I will move on to item 2 of the agenda, which is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for tonight?
Yeah, Councillor Crotsky, who's unwell, and Councillor Ruston, who's working. Councillor Hunt will be late.
Thank you. Item 3 is to receive.
I wonder whether we could take this opportunity to wish Councillor Crotty a speedy recovery through the minutes. I noticed he made public that he got a severe illness on social media, and I think it's been right for us to sort of wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes.
Okay. That's noted. Okay. So we'll go on to item 3, which is to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Do we have any of those? I'll start on the left. Councillor Winter.
Thank you, Chair. Member of Rother District Council.
Councillor Grayson.
Member of Rother District Council, but specifically in relation to agenda item 10. I'm the current chair of the Planning Committee. I know the Planning Committee will be redesignated after May, but the chances are I will still be chairman of the Rother District Planning Committee after May. I will take no part in 10, but I will stay and listen. And I won't vote, but I will stay and listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lowe.
Yes, member of Rother District Council.
Councillor Timpey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Item 11, I have to declare I'm a trustee of the Delaware Pavilion and also a director of Old Town Occasions up at Manor Barn,
Okay.
and also cabinet member at Rother District Council.
Okay. Thank you. I move on to Chair's announcements. There are a couple of things from me. Firstly, to say that my chosen charity event that was held last Saturday was, I believe, a tremendous success. It will end up raising just short of £4,000 towards Sidley Cricket Club Pavilion. Grateful for all the businesses and residents in Bexhill that came forward and provided raffle prizes and sponsorship, and it just shows what a great community Bexhill have. There was 50 something raffle prizes and 8 major sponsors that came forward, and I was quite humbled by that. In times where people are somewhat short of money, they were prepared to support Sidley Cricket Club.
Well done, Chair.
So thank you. Just another point, I would wish to take the option to move a couple of items in the agenda. I'm going to move item 13 to sit after item 10. And I'm going to move item 15 to follow on after, which will then be item 13. So we're moving those two. Yeah, item 13 and 15 will now be after the planning of item 10. And to be open and transparent, item 11 I will close standing orders and it will be a closed discussion. So at that point I will ask members of the public to leave. Any decisions that are made will be made public, but there are reasons that there may be commercial sensitive discussions that we are having that would not be appropriate in front of the members of the public. So that's why I'm moving things around. Any decisions that are made will be minuted and will be available for members of the public. Councillor Drayson.
Could I suggest, Chair, then 11 goes to the end, so that the public can stay for the other bits if they so wish?
The rest are, I'm trying to create as much time as possible for the important discussion that we have to have. I take your point.
Watch out the timing thing.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Just put it in these. Just move 11 to the end.
I think we do need more time on 11 personally, so I think we should stick to that.
11 is unknown as to how long we're going to be discussing it, and we are time limited for every full council meeting. I'm trying to get as much time as possible. The rest will be reported at the next meeting, so residents will get to hear those reports at the next meeting. So if you had a seconder for that proposal to move it, then we could vote on it. Otherwise, Councillor Jacklin.
I would like to second.
Okay. All those in favour of just moving item 11 to the end and potentially giving less time for item 11, raise their hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those against? 2. Okay, we will then ignore what I said. We will move item 11 until to after item 16. Okay. So item 5, minutes to approve the minutes of the following meetings, which is the extraordinary meeting on the 26th of March and the full council meeting on the 26th of March. Do I have a proposer and a seconder for those? Proposer, Councillor Kimpy, seconder, Councillor Puss. Thank you. That's that completed. Item 6 is the committees, is to note the minutes that have been distributed for Engagement and Communications Committee, which is Appendix C, Finance and Audit, Appendix D. That's just for noting. And the recommendations from those, which is item 7, there were no recommendations from those committees. So So swiftly moving on to item 8 is the Mayor's Office.
Councillor Wilson, sorry, can I just
Sorry.
ask one question on one of those? Sorry, on the community events. I just wanted to know why it was noted that a meeting with a local artist had taken place and no name for that artist was given, as this was supposed to be totally transparent.
Which committee was that on?
That was on
Engagement and Communications.
C, I think it's C. Yeah. It's 0704A under community events, second page.
I think probably it's a play on a letter. I think it had taken place some time ago, but it hasn't, and it's going to come up at the next meeting.
Okay.
It's to do with the design of the circle.
But the local artist is going to be named then, yes? Who you're in discussions with?
I'm not sure there's a need to name the local artist, but we can leave that for the
original amount that was quoted for this was obscene, wasn't it? So this is why it needs to be transparent, totally transparent. If there's discussions going on with an artist, then it should be, I think it should be totally transparent.
You make a very, very valid point. I'm sure the chair of that committee is hearing your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Chair.
Councillor.
With regards to the finance minutes, can the clerk, through you, if I could ask the clerk, the recommendation on 00717F to recommend full council the draft policy for allocating SIL funds to community groups for approval, will that be at the next full council meeting?
Through you, Chair. I was asked to develop a few extra points, so I'm going to bring it back to finance just to make sure you're really clear on those points, then I'll bring it to full council.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Otherwise I will move on. As I said, there were no recommendations. The Mayor's Office, I've already sent out my reports for quite a busy month. Well, it seems quite busy anyway for this time of year, so you have that. Item 9 is to reports from councillors. 9A, to receive a report from Divisional County Councillor. We have with us Councillor Ian Hollidge.
Thank you very much, Chair. And here really just to answer any questions you may have about East Sussex County Council and to also give a short reply to Councillor Brailsford behind me regarding information about devolution. The East Sussex will be issuing papers on a lead member meeting on the 3rd of June, so that's likely to be at the end of May, where we're reviewing the first process, which will be the transition to a strategic mayoral authority for what we do not know what the government is likely to publish in the next few days as to what the geographical areas are, where the unitary are, so there are lots of known unknowns. Over the next few weeks through the county, I'll be sitting on with the Place Committee and the People Scrutiny Committee, looking at all the aspects of the unitary authority and the devolution process. We don't know what they are, what the agenda is, we don't know what the terms of reference are, but I have three major concerns. One is planning. The government has issued some housing targets which I believe are impossible. They changed it from 300,000 homes per year to 370,000 homes per year. Here in Rother, we're tasked with delivering 926 homes. It's, to me, an unachievable target, and it's something that the planning authority will then likely be devolved to a unitary, and it's that process that I'm concerned about. The other one is the Transport Authority. Currently, East Sussex is the local transport authority. The desire of the government is to push that up to the mayoral authority, aspects of it. What aspects are they? Those are the details that I'm interested in. Bus franchising, etc. Could go on. Everybody sees that there is a need for change, but we need to manage that change together. The District Council Network have published some excellent papers on the reasons why they've seen changes, so the information is out there and it will be coming forward. The end of this month is likely to be the first stage of a regular business as usual is carrying on, but a lot of people seem to be focused on the future, which is quite right, but we're still doing business as usual. Rother Parking Review will be published, papers after the first prioritisation process, 5 stages. The second stage will likely be published at the end of the month. When it comes out, residents will see letters about proposed double yellow lines here, proposed parking bays, etc., changes to the restrictions. Just be aware of it. I'm aware of it, that it's going to happen. Don't know what they are, but when they do come, please let's discuss them, and we'll put it through due process to see whether it is right or whether it's wrong. Right, any questions?
Have you any idea or any thoughts regarding the fire and emergency services, whether they're going to combine their... because at the moment you've got East Sussex and West Sussex.
Correct. Well, you've got East Sussex, which covers Brighton as well, and you've got West Sussex. No, I have no idea. All right. And Sussex Police already work that. You've got the clinical commissioning groups, you've got all the NHS procurement, etc. So you've got all these different bodies that ideally the government white paper is trying to get them all aligned to geographical area. I suspect that it will fall under the Mayor in given time.
Any other questions with Councillor Hollidge?
Thank you very much.
I would add, I think we're very privileged in Bexhill to have you involved on the Place Committee that's dealing with a lot of this. So thank you for your efforts that you're putting into this.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
So 9B is to receive reports from ward district councillors. We have some here tonight. Anybody wish to speak?
Anyone?
Usual to introduce yourself by the microphone, please.
Hello, yeah, I'm Jimmy Stanger, ward councillor for St Mark's ward. St Mark's, better West Bexhill, with Councillor Connor Winter. Just thought I'd update really what's been going on in the ward. Major things probably A259, big concerns. The MP got a meeting together which my colleague Councillor Connor Winter and Brian Drayton were attended with National Highways recently to address the issues. My petition got up to about, I think it's 1,010 now, but it's a slow process with Ian Hollidge attended as well, Nuala Geary, to try and get some safety improvements to the road and try to, because there's been a lot of fatalities. The other things I've been working on is through my co-chair role in community safety with Hastings Borough Council and Rother District Council, is community safety in implementing the new DISC system. So the new DISC system for retail is in place, but now we're moving to hospitality, nighttime economy, to try, because we've had a few incidents recently where it would be really beneficial to share the information really quickly among licensees and venues. So myself and Amanda Hart, Inspector Amanda Hart, went around Monday evening just gone to almost every venue in Bexhill in Sidley, got at least 10 to 15 signed up, and if there wasn't available then they're up for signing up at a later date. Just generally trying to keep on top of the community safety. We had a meeting at Rother last month with Chief Inspector Simon Yates to discuss, you've probably seen on Facebook, some worrying incidents in Sea Road and other places in Bexhill. Some of it has been blown out of proportion on Facebook. It's not actually what it is, maybe, but he was reassuring us that they are working on it, and moving in towards the summer, they're working to get on top of the ASB, and the sunshine comes out, kids come out, and such. But no, just building good relationships across the board there. But if we can get the DISC signed up, I know the DISC for the retail has had 1,050 reports in the last 30 or 40 days. Shops working, prolific shoplifters being sent to prison were used by the evidence from DISC, so it's beneficial. And the only other one is for my ward would be Her Brand Walk. So I hope, obviously, as we get into the summer, that could continue to become an issue. I know that it's part of a resilience forum or a JAG now, is it? It's another forum, I believe. Hazelton people know more. So it's managed in line with Canberra now, as in an active multi-led kind of agency approach, because we've had multiple issues. And happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Councillor Stanger? Councillor Green.
Yes, I had called to talk through the Chamber of Commerce and various other people regarding the increase in crime in the retail sector in Bexhill town centre. And as I was going round canvassing opinion, I walked into one retailer and I saw a couple of teenagers walking out with bundles of soft drinks and cokes, laughing heads off, and they just walked past the stuff. the staff weren't aware that there was a disc system. And I think you need to double your efforts in letting the retailers know that that's available. It seems to be there's been one approach round, and the district seems to have stepped back a little bit and seen how it's bedded in, which I quite understand. But I think there needs to be a doubling up of that effort to try and get more retailers involved in it.
No.
I think the uptake will be quite.
I know through colleagues, different sectors, and Councillor Bayliss deals a lot with the retail in Bexhill. She has been pushing, and we have been pushing officers at the council. We've done one launch event at the Rother. We need more launch events. And on Monday, when I went out with the inspector and the PCSO, it was a completely different way of doing it, actually going to them, having a chat with each licensee or manager or restaurant owner. And I'm happy to work with other colleagues to do that for retail as well. The more we get on there, the more prolific people we can get away, and more reporting, hopefully, and that's the idea. But if you forward me any of the names, and I can forward them straight to Amanda Hart, and she'll sign them up on the system now. So, yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The reporting is crucial, because I was talking to one of the community police officers, community support officers, and he pointed out that they won't necessarily pursue one particular crime that's taken place. They wait for a number of crimes to come up, unfortunately, until they've got about 20 instances for an individual before they actually take them to court. So the reporting of it is crucial, and so the DISC system is crucial as well to get embedded.
And Simon Yates, Chief Inspector, did mention that they're constantly watching the DISC system, and Inspector or Sergeant, and if they feel they have to move resources from Rye or Battle or somewhere, if there was a number of incidents, they will move resources as a result of reports on that. So, and it has direct messaging with a Sergeant or Inspector. So yeah, definitely happy to work with any town councillors, walk round and get as many as we can. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, Tony? Hello. Sorry, wrong one.
You'd be likely to be welcome in Sidley, and we because it's not just happening in Bexhill. We can't just focus on Bexhill town centre. It's a little common. It's pretty much retail stores, Bexhill, Old Town. Everyone's getting the same. So are we just focusing it in the heart of Bexhill, or is it going to branch out, or is it going to be parts of it coming?
No. I attended. I visited Newing Monday night. I visited the Rose and Crown Monday night, and I've been in touch with other places in Sidley. Spoke to Morrison's the other day when I was in there. But again, if you want me to walk around with you, I've got what I need to get from each place to send on, so we can speed it up quickly. Because the quicker we get it into the system, the more we can get signed up, and it's quite straightforward. And it's it was just getting that link between what you need, what is necessary, what they know, how the system works.
Just on my working in Sidley, you're quite right. The sun does change a lot of people in their attitudes towards shopping. But you can move the problem to the next area by making somewhere secure. They just go to the next, and eventually it comes full circle back.
We had this issue in Little Common last year with Council Winterman, because Little Common has even less of a police presence, and we had quite a considerable amount of issues. Yeah, definitely, and we're just in community safety wise, and we'll get all the name what we need, and we can sign them up. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for Councillor Stone?
No. Thank you.
I'll move on to 9C, which is to receive ward reports from town councillors. Any ward reports from town councillors? I think the one for Collington has already been progressed on, that Councillor Peters prepared. That's already been sent out. Any others from other wards? Otherwise I shall move on to item 10, which is planning matters. To consider a response to the following applications. 10A1, Town and County Planning Development Management Procedure, England Order 2015, which is the fire tank and pump house with BNG mitigation areas, a Pepsham Waste Transfer Station and Hastings Household Waste Recycling Site in Freshfields. This is for us to give an opinion on. And would you like to start?
It seems fairly normal. I'm assuming for fire tank and pump house it's a sprinkler system they're putting in, which is always a good thing. You don't want that thing catching fire because fumes and whatever will spread everywhere.
So you'd be supportive of it?
I would support it, yes.
Any other comments? Councillor Plymouth.
Like to echo that, I think we should be fully supportive of this because it will make the working area there safer for the people that are working in that environment.
Okay. Any other comments? Is that enough for you to reply?
How should I say that you fully support the
We support
application.
it. Yep. Okay. 10A2. I'm not going to read all of this out because we've already heard from members of the public. We've had a report on it as well. So I'm not going to read all of those out because it is, in effect, we know what we're talking about, which is 81 Coogan Drive. So I think I'll ask Councillor Peters to please speak on this, and then we can decide what our response will be regarding it.
Okay, as you can see, I've handed a price around to everybody, so they've got a rough idea, because it's 8 years this has been going on, so it's been condensed down for you to make it simple so you can see the differences and the breaches to the appeal. That's the conditions that were set at the appeal are the ones that are important, are highlighted on that piece of paper. The Bexhill Town Council Planning Committee unanimously opposed the previous application to this, and this is very similar. There's not very many changes. There's still a flat in the roof, and there's, well, what I've counted is 25 changes from what was allowed at appeal. So
you're recommending that we oppose it?
I'm recommending that, yeah, we renewed the motion to oppose it, and also to add in there that the flat in the roof is a clear breach, because we didn't say that it was a clear breach last time. We just mentioned the flat. We didn't mention it was in the roof, and it has been dismissed at appeal with a roof flat there, which is an important factor.
It does seem rather strange to me when planners make decisions, put restrictions in it, another application comes through and the restrictions are ignored. It makes me wonder why restrictions are put in place in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's strict conditions were attached to it, and it was to do with those drawings which are mentioned in there, and you can clearly see the differences. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Baker have said that they're resigned to the fact that flats are going to be built there, so if they're going to be built there, they should stick to what was said and what was agreed at the appeal, not stick another flat on top, which is fair enough, I think. So they're resigned to the fact that flats are going to go there. So this should be objected to again.
So the suggested objection is because there's a flat in the roof and previous restrictions haven't been adhered to.
The flat in the roof has been dismissed at appeal before.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Councillor Jackley.
Given that we need flats and houses, in your opinion, through the chair, is there a way in which we can word this such that a reasonable property can be built?
Well, I think what was allowed at appeal was a reasonable property. And like I said, that Mr. and Mrs. Baker, the direct neighbours have already said that they're happy for 4 flats to go ahead, which is what was agreed, so there shouldn't be any changes. I know that the housing has tripled, you know, what we need to build in the area. You're not going to hit, you didn't hit the 300, you're not going to hit 900 just because somebody said you've got to triple it. So
it's a flat in the roof, won't solve it.
No, and the flat in the roof is a key thing that has already been dismissed at appeal, so that wasn't part of the last appeal. It wasn't in there.
Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. I think it would be worth the Town Council commenting to Rother District Council Planning that we want to see enforcement. We don't want to see variations to agreements and agreed plans. We don't want to see those just go by on the nod. So I think it would be reasonable for us to minute the fact that as a town council we want to make sure that any appeal, the decision is fully implemented, and it's implemented in the way that the inspector has worded it and structured in that way.
Anyone else wish to pass any comment?
Chair.
Councillor Cowan.
Chair, I think it looks to me like someone's trying to have the cake and eat it. And I think if there is strict guidelines, which obviously there is, I mean, it's there, we've got it all in front of us in black and white. Just because we need to build houses in the town, there still needs to be a strict and in-keeping policy towards it. That's my feeling. So I would stand against it at the moment. Just
So what I'm hearing, unless anyone else wishes to say anything, is that we want enforcement. There shouldn't be any variations. If the flat was not in the roof before when it was agreed, it shouldn't be there now. And we want to object to this application.
I also think the neighbours are being very fair with that.
Yeah. Councillor Byrne.
Yeah, I think that comment about enforcement should be in general.
Yeah.
This town council expects Rother District Council to be enforcing the restrictions that have got not on this, just on this plan, but on any plan.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing? This needs to also be called up to Rother District Planning, which was what was stipulated in our last objection, that we wanted it called up.
Yeah.
And just because they've changed something on the plan to get a new number to kick it down the road, we still want it called up. I still want it called up personally. I hope that you people do too, because otherwise it never gets questioned.
Yeah.
Proposer, second.
So I need a proposer that we object to this. So Councillor Peters, I'm quite happy to second that as the other councillor for Collington, and I vote all of those who object to this planning application. Show that's for an objection to it. All those in favour of this one, and any abstentions? Okay, so that's passed to object to it. Have you got enough words around?
I've got a motion here.
Said that there's an additional flat in the roof that was dismissed and appealed, which is a breach, that the Town Council expects Rother District Council to enforce planning restrictions, and that this Town Council doesn't support any variations, and that this Town Council would like the application called into the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy with that? Okay. That is item 10.2, 10A2. We move on to 10B, to receive an update on the neighbourhood plan from Councillor Trim and Councillor Winter. Who would like to speak on this?
I was going to speak on this one. We haven't got very far with this at all. We haven't had our initial meeting. We've been stifled by the fact that originally the neighbourhood plan developed from the planning committee, and the planning committee very rarely met because the numbers couldn't be there on the day, and so therefore momentum was lost in this process. Now the planning committee does not exist and planning comes to full council, it is our hope that we can now choose from 17 at the moment, councillors, in order to be involved in the neighbourhood plan. So what I'm asking of you, Chair, today is whether we could put it out there for any more people to be involved in the neighbourhood plan.
I will email both yourself and Councillor Winter offering my facilities and time to be involved in it, because I see this as absolutely crucial. It's been on our table now for 4 years. It was the first motion that was processed by the first administration. I re-raised it and it hasn't got anywhere at the moment. So now it's on full council, you're right. There should be more engagement with it, and with devolution and Rother plan, there is going to be a neighbourhood board plan as well that is going to be forthcoming. We need to get this sorted out quite sharply. So I'm happy to spend some time on it, but it needs real commitment, and it is the work is actual work where we're going to have to do a lot of it ourselves. There isn't anyone to help us. We can get some consultative work in, but a lot of it councils have to do themselves. So just, unless you've got time, don't put yourself forward is what I'm suggesting, because it will be time consuming for some parts of it.
Just on your point there, when you mentioned the neighbourhood board plan,
yeah,
I think a lot of people will probably get confused by the terminology, because it's more or less the same terminology as the neighbourhood plan, and I'm not too sure where it lays as we go forward, because if we produce a neighbourhood plan, are we just going to be doing exactly the same as what the town board are doing in their neighbourhood plan?
For that
and how do the two dovetail?
It's about collaborating, make sure that everybody is involved in everything. So the neighbourhood board, ex-town board, because the government have renamed them to neighbourhood boards, will have a strategic plan which will involve everything, not just what the town council want to do, the district council stroke unitary authority want to do. It will be everybody. So it's not just what we're doing as a plan, it's everything. So it's an overarching plan for the whole of Bexhill, whereas ours will be slightly different. There'll be lots of other plans. Most organisations have plans, but we really do need to somehow make this happen. Councillor Thomas.
We've already worked together as a planning committee, so I'd be happy to put myself forward to continue.
That gives us 4. Is everybody happy? Sorry, Councillor Drayson.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think it was a slip you said about councillors. It's got to be non-councillors as well. It's got to
It
involve
has,
members of the
yeah.
public.
It has.
And I will just say what a mess we're in with re-government organisation, and then there's a neighbourhood ball slapped on top of it.
Yeah, there is.
Unbelievable.
But that is out of our hands.
I know.
And it is what it is.
It's
So,
out of the hands of the people as well, but that's more important.
well, we always had the opportunity to say no to £20 million coming in Bexhill. So we've got 4 councillors involved in it, so I think that's an opportunity to maybe move it forward at a greater pace, should we say. Everybody happy with that as a action to make something happen? Okay. Then I will move on to item 12. 12A, to receive notes from the leaders' meeting held on the 4th of April, which I believe they've been distributed. 12B is to note Rother District Council ownership of the War Memorial, and this is added to the list that is within item 11. And Little Common War Memorial ownership is still under investigation. Nobody seems to know who owns it.
No, we do know that there was a committee.
Okay.
That was built by a committee, and then we're trying to trace where that committee went to. So whether it's been just gone over time, or whether it was given over to the British Legion, or where, we don't know quite yet, and that's what we're investigating.
So further work to be done to get clarity. 12C, to note heads of terms of Hedgehog Bay Park delayed due to some sign-off and statutory declarations of Rother District Council. So we're just waiting for that. And 12D is to note Councillor Hampton's resignation, which you should all be aware of.
Can I just, sorry. Yeah.
Councillor Peters.
Yeah, I've got one question on that about the letters. How many letters were actually submitted?
We don't know. We just know that 10 weren't.
6.
We wouldn't know that.
Who said that?
I'm sorry, as members of the public, they're not allowed to speak.
Well, I'm just curious because I know that there's at least 4 were handed in. I'm just curious to know how many were handed in.
We're just told that there isn't 10, so there could be 9, there could be 1 or none.
It is 6. We were told it was 6.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'm not told. No, it's not 10. Okay. Item 13, which is governance and administration, to consider adding and to consider addition to standing orders formalising the strikeout voting, which is Appendix F, which you all had. So this has been suggested because whenever we have a strikeout vote, there are questions asked as to how it works, and this is to clarify and to add it to the standing orders. Councillor Drayson.
I'd like to move to a vote on this, please. I'd like to propose that motion.
Do we have any questions, or do we have a seconder?
I think it's a good proposal and I would like to second it.
Okay. Any debate needed, any questions? Otherwise it can be a show of hands. Councillors.
Could I just ask, there might be a reason for it. What is the reason for voting openly? Is it a necessity?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is there any legal reason why we have to vote openly?
Well, it's in the interest of transparency. So all your votes are taken at a public meeting for the public to see how you're voting.
I do like the fact that it is transparent and open, but it also does put some stress on ties between councillors, I believe, afterwards.
Every vote should be an individual, so you're voting on behalf of your ward. Okay,
Exactly.
So when you come to make a vote, you go and speak to your ward members about the items on the agenda, see what they want you to do, and then you bring their views to the meeting. So you're not necessarily bringing your views, you are representing the wards that you've been elected in. So this should hopefully help clear up some of that, to keep it nice and open and transparent, that you are coming forward with the views of your ward to represent them at the meeting. That's what you've been elected for.
But wouldn't you be voting, you could be voting for a councillor being elected on another ward, but the people of your ward would have you're bringing their views on another ward. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you come to the meeting and you don't give your view.
No, I understand
You're
that.
representing the view of the ward that you've been elected to. So if you, let's say we were using this to vote for the co-option and you've got these candidates that come forward, you're not necessarily making your own personal choice because it's somebody that you think you know or is related to somebody, and you're saying this connection with councillors. You're coming forward and making that decision based on what good they can do in the ward that they've been, that they're standing for. So you look at the ward, look at the skills of that person and then say, are they the right person to represent that ward? Because each ward is different. So before you come to the meeting, you might do a little bit of understanding of those wards if you're not sure, and you'd speak to your counterparts in that ward, but you'd be bringing forward, you come with an open mind, you listen to what that person says, and then you vote based on that.
I understand that. I just want to reiterate, so just so there's no misunderstanding, when I said connection between councillors, I do mean after the elections are finished, just for any strain of working together with them. That was the only reason I said, and that was only in regard to co-option, not any other kind of vote.
Okay. So we've got a proposer and a seconder for this. Any other comments? Otherwise I'll go to a show of hands. All those in favour, please show. All those against? Any abstentions? Or abstention? Okay. That is passed to add that to the standing orders of this council. Moving on to item 14, which is external representatives. 14A, we've all had a report from Ralph. Very detailed, very interesting. Thank you, Councillor Jacklin, for that. Would you like to add anything to it briefly? Or?
I think the main thing is to clarify, so there was a proposal to hold a meeting, a special meeting in June of the Rother local councils, not under the auspices of Ralph. It may be that they need some help organising that. So do we therefore need to vote on whether the clerk and staff can help with that if asked?
I believe Councillor Jacqueline's put forward a motion, so then you'd have a seconder and then a vote.
I didn't read that as a motion.
So
is
the
that a motion?
The motion is that the clerk and staff help organise such a meeting if appropriate.
Okay. I have a seconder for that motion. Councillor Thomas, all those in favour of that, please show. All those against? Abstentions? That is carried. Would you like to add anything else?
I think there were some things that we may want to discuss at that meeting, but rather than raise those now, let's get through that long list.
Okay, all right. 14B, citizen advice.
Nothing to report, no change from last time. Might I make a comment about the previous item, which is I think Councillor Jacklin should be applauded for the report he wrote. It's one of the most informative meeting reports I've seen for a long while.
Excellent, thank you. I have nothing to say on item 14C. Bexhill Maritime.
Sorry. If I can speak a little bit about the Bexhill Air Cadets.
If you wish.
Yeah, I'm a member of their committee there, and they're having a very serious logistical problems. The drill hall is still not open for use, despite the fact that the MOD said it would be by this time. I would like this council to make a representation to the MOD to find out what their position is with regard to the drill hall and when they can see it open again. Because at the moment, the Bexhill Youth Air Cadets are having to travel out to Bath for their meetings.
Travel to?
Battle.
Okay. Should they then write to us to ask for us to?
I'm their representative. I'm a member of their committee, and I'm channeling it through you.
Okay. Do you need anything official?
So I think Councillor has making a motion. So you need a second for that, and
I'm making a motion on. Okay. Seconded by Councillor Carroll. All those in favour that we write to the MOD asking for clarification, please show. All those against? Abstentions? That is carried.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Bexhill Maritime. Councillor Timpey, anything to add to Bexhill Maritime?
Well, there are two different pre-apps going on now. I can't really say
No.
the details because they're a bit confidential. But yeah, so things are progressing, which is really good news.
Yeah. Okay. Littlegate Farm, Councillor Jacqueline.
I have nothing to report as I have not done anything, and when we come to review who does what, I would want to withdraw from this and we can review whether we need it.
Okay. 14F, Town Board. I've sent a report around, just again clarifying it is being renamed as the Neighbourhood Board. They all lie across the country. Yes, it will cause confusion, but that's a government request and we have to adhere to what we're told. I have expressed an interest that we have neighbourhood plans, etc., etc. But it is what it is. We'll have to work with that. So the Town Board is now the Neighbourhood Board. We've had a couple of meetings with regard to selecting somebody to deal with communications and branding, and that's going through the procurement process, and we've done some work about the strategic plan for the whole of Bexhill. We have one session around that, and to show about collaborating. That's where it's really important that the Town Board gets everybody involved, which is why our clerk has been invited onto that working group as well, because that's important we're involved in. So 14G, Coombe Valley CIC.
So I was formally appointed a director a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
The board has 12 members, some of whom are directors and some of whom are not. Bexhill Maritime and Bexhill Wild Doomsday, David Dennis, had applied to be non-director members and both were accepted today. Bexhill Maritime being next to Coombe Valley Park and Bexhill Wild Doomsday obviously being interested in nature. On June the 8th, a Sunday, there is the 4th Big Green Day event, which obviously we're all invited, and we're seeking organisations to have tables for displays, which I think could apply to Bexhill Maritime and probably to Bexhill Nature Club.
Okay, thank you. Finally, 14H, Chamber of Commerce Centenary Fund. Those that use social media have seen that their fund has been launched. They've got £25,000 to distribute around businesses if they come up with a project that they need support with, and then that will go into the panel to decide. So I've got nothing to report by the fact it's now launched. So watch this space. So moving on, item 15, which is a motion from me, which is to consider the balance of the Mayor's budget for the end of 2024-25 to be paid to my chosen charity, i.e. Sidley Cricket Club. You all know I'm passionate about cricket, passionate about Sidley Cricket Club, and there is some balance, and that would normally just go into general reserves. Last year, the previous mayor moved her mayor's budget into Christmas lights, so we have done something like this before. So, and I'm quite happy at this point, if you wish, to hand over to Deputy, and I'll leave the room while you debate it, or that is a motion that I'm proposing. I'm looking for a seconder to support that. Is that a seconder, Councillor Peters? Thank you, I've got a seconder. So, any comments, any observations? Otherwise it would be a vote, yes or no. Councillor Flynn.
Could I just ask, through the chair to the clerk, whether the cost of the former mayor's badges will be coming out of the mayor's budget, or will it come out of another budget? And if it does come out of the mayor's budget, has it been accounted for in this figure?
Through you, Chair. We purchased 5 or 6 years' worth when we first started.
I'm talking about the
Past mayor.
the recent.
Oh no, nothing's been budgeted for the idea of a new badge.
Exactly, yeah.
We've got a stack of years
Yeah.
forward for past mayor's pins. No decisions have been made about the possibility of a bigger badge.
Okay.
No, so nothing's been budgeted for yet.
Councillor Carroll.
Chair, I'd like to thank you for your, obviously being the councillor of Sidley, I'd like to thank you for your support of Sidley Cricket Club. For those of you who don't know, it brings lots to the community. They're involved in everything from lids picking to, well, they go to every meeting there is in Sidley, and they include every ability at that cricket club. If you want to play cricket, you will play cricket. It's as simple as that. And I think it's a great thing to support, and well done.
Thank you. Any other comments? Otherwise it's a straight vote whether it's agreeable for the balance of the budget to be handed over to Sidley Cricket Club. So we've got a proposal, we've got a seconder. All those in favour, please show your hand. All those against? One against. No, any abstentions? That's passed. Thank you very much. I'm sure they'll be delighted because they need £64,000 to get electricity, and with my do and that, they'll be well on the way to it. So excellent. Thank you very much for the support. Correspondence item 16, there isn't any. Item 17, they were questions, and the relevant answers are alongside the questions from the previous meetings, which is standard procedure. And 17B, to receive questions. Sorry, Councillor Drayson.
No, sorry.
Receive questions from councillors. Councillor Drayson.
Two arising from tonight's meeting, actually. Where did asking questions of councillors who are addressing the committee come from? We've never asked questions of people talking to the council. If that is in there, I don't mind it, but I don't think it's in our process. And if we want it to be, it should be. And then
I can help with that.
And then also, why did we bother voting on changing standing orders when tonight we've allowed two motions to be made and passed on suggestions of two councillors without any written submission? The standing orders talk about we must have written motions, and yet tonight we've allowed two on a whim.
Okay. They're questions and they'll be obviously answered. Any other questions? No? Any future agenda items? Consider any new risks to be added to the risk register? Councillor Jacklin.
I think we should discuss preparation and promotion of the September residents' open meeting, such that people know about it in advance. In particular, if when devolution comes, there are going to be changes to what people get charged by who.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure that's a question or a future agenda item. We'll take that away and
prepare for the September residents meeting.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, at this point, I'm going to default back to item 11, and now I'm going to close the standing orders and close the meeting to members of the public. Thank you.